First, I started off with a white card base. It was 8.5 by 11 that I scored at 5.5 and folded. And then I put liners in my cards just because it makes them sturdier. I use 110-pound cardstock, but still, if you just use that, it's still flimsy, and I put liners in them so that they are a little sturdier. I go around the edges. If you can barely see, probably it has a blue edge. I go around the edges with the dauber and just put a little color on the edge. And then I cut a strip of the green. I actually had that left over when I was spraying the other stuff. I just kind of stick it beside it and color that. And then a strip of the blue that I embossed just to decorate that inside piece a little bit. And I'm going to stick one of the flat tulips on this other page over here in the bottom corner. And that is just a little something extra for the inside of the card. You don't have to. So I'll show you how I put those in. I just use my ATG gun, put adhesive on the back of these. Whoops. And since I'm doing it on camera, I won't do it straight. If any goes off, you just tuck it back over there. And I'll put this in on the inside of the card. Oops, and I'm out. And here's a trick on putting the other cards on the inside. Instead of just trying to measure it, I lay it adhesive side up on top of the one that I've already put in there. And just line it up like that. Then I go in, starting on the inside, in the middle, and press out, and that way they're lined up evenly. And even if this one is a little bit crooked or off, this one matches it completely, so it works out. Okay, I put a little stamp on the back. I had this made at Home Depot, where I just have a self-inking stamp that says original handmade card by Janie, and then it has www.papercompulsions.blogspot.com. You can have anything you want put on there. And I also have another custom one that I got from customstamps.com that I really like, that I have to, it's a regular red rubber stamp, and I put it, it's mounted on wood, and I ink it myself. But when I'm doing a lot of cards, this is really fast. And then I have another little strip that when I'm spraying the panel, I just put the little strips beside it so that I color them at the same time. And for the back, I'm just going to put a little drip, quick dry, and put that on there. And I'll take one of the flat tulips. And I think this probably started because I had some stuff left over at the end of the card and just started adding it. But then it kind of got to be thing that I would do all the time. If I'm in a real hurry, I don't add it, but I usually try to put a little something on there, on the back. For the front, I have, and I've already colored them, I cut this layer that was 5 1/4 by 8 1/4, and I colored it with the Lindy Stamp Gang Bachelor Button Blue with the dauber. I just went around the edges, and I've already gone ahead and put some score tape on this, or actually it's Miracle Tape. It looks the same as score tape, but you get a little more. You can tear it with your hands. You don't have to cut it. And I love this one because it comes in 3/8 inch width. So I could go ahead and add that. And I've chose to use score tape on this because it had Lindy Stamp Gang on the front that was wet, and it tends to curl the edges. When one side of the paper is wet and the other side is not, it tends to curl on the one side. So I like to put a more aggressive adhesive on the layers where I use the Lindy's to keep it from curling. You can also just straighten it out, flatten it against the edge of your desk, or sometimes I put it between my two big mats in my embossing machine and run it through with something else where it's just going to get flat. Does that make sense? I put it in the two white mats and then I run it through when I'm embossing something, and it kind of straightens this out, and when it's in between the two flat mats. That is almost good, but it's going to be good enough because the glue's already, the tape's already there. Then I have a white mat that I believe is 5 by 8, I believe, and it doesn't have any color on it, so it won't buckle or curl. And I went over the edge with the adhesive on that. I'm just going to try to curl it back over. My poor kitty is beside the camera, about to just go to sleep sitting up. She's waiting for me to go to bed so that she can come cuddle with me, because that's what she does. Because her's a sweetheart, but she's about to just fall asleep sitting up. And then this next layer, I have embossed it with the Anna Griffin embossing folder and sprayed it with the Edelweiss moss green. And I emboss it first so that when you spray it, the mica powders will kind of collect in the recesses where you've embossed it, and gives a really neat effect. And I have score tape on it already, or Miracle Tape on it already. And I'm going to add a little bit in this extra areas where I don't have Miracle Tape, just to kind of hold it down a little better. And I need to make sure which end is up and down. And this one is cut, I think, 1/8 of an inch. smaller than the one underneath it. So it's not much of a border, but it's a little bit of a border. Or maybe it's not measured right because this is right there. And then I have this. What I do is I cut these. These are 2 cut files that well, these weren't the pieces that go in there. These are cut files. I colored this one blue and embossed it. You can see there. And attached it. And I've taken these inside pieces and used them on the inside of the card there to show my greeting. And I just glue this with quick dry glue. Try to be sure and get around the edges, but not too close to the edges so that it doesn't seep out all over the place. And sometimes I do a good job of that, and sometimes I don't. Now the inside edges. And when I don't do a good job, please make a job like that. And I'm going to make this face a minute. Just like that. And I forgot to add the ribbon, and I will do that in a minute. And what I will do is, on the flower side, the way that I'm going to, is I like to have 7 on the front with these, and it doesn't matter, that's just something I chose to do. Tilt some one way and some the other, and we'll go something like that. And let me get the ribbon and I will come back. This is just white seam binding that I've colored with the Lindy Stamp Gang. And here's how I do my bows. I measure enough to wrap around the edges of the card. No, girly. Can you see my cat's shadow? She is checking out the camera. And then I cut another little bit for the tail. I'll show you in a minute. Then I curl this around, or this is my first loop, and this will be the tail. Hold it in the middle. I curl the other side around so that those 2 loops are about the same size. I bring this back under. I curl another loop on that side that's just a tiny bit bigger than this one. Come back on this side, do the same thing. Holding it in the middle. Make a loop on this side, and I don't have enough ribbon, so I'm going to make the loop smaller. Leave a tail, loop, whoops, I want the tail to go on bottom. So the loop needs to come over like this. Loop, making sure those are about the same size. Loop, loop, hold it in the middle, another loop on that side, and a loop on this side, and that's a little bit of a tail, but you won't really see it. So I've got 3 loops on each side. I'm going to put this piece down. Actually, you put that over it like that. Turn it over. I'll show you the easy way. I go ahead and you can go ahead and tie a knot now, or you can put your piece that's going to hold it on the card down and tie a knot in with it at the same time. But to get used to it, this is easier. If you go ahead and tie the knot, I'm going to adjust to make sure that that knot is kind of in the middle there. And pull it tight. Now I'm going to put this other ribbon in. to straighten those pieces up in a minute. Ribbon's going to go, so I will put that on the layer that just had ATG gun tape on it. I'm peeling. Sometimes it's kind of forgiving and will let you peel it, and sometimes it's not. And then I usually go back with my little glue bottle. This is just, you buy the bottle separately. It's a glue applicator bottle with a very narrow nozzle and keep a straight pin in it that comes with this actually to keep the nozzle unclogged. And then I go around the edges of cards and make sure that those are down really well, because it will bug me later if they're not. This one seems to be doing pretty good. Maybe a little more where I had that bow or ribbon. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little dab of glue under the bow itself, and I will just put that there to weigh it down while I move on to other things. When I spray this panel, I usually put a piece of cardstock underneath it so that I can go back later and use this as trim, like I have on this blue layer that's underneath it. I can use it as the bottom mat piece, or I can, in this case, I'm going to trim some off the edges and use them for the leaves, and I just cut them at angles. That's a broader leaf. I'll have some bigger ones, and then I'll have some really smaller ones, and just kind of cut it at a point, and I'll be placing them along as I glue the flowers down. Sometimes I like to go through and kind of put my larger pieces towards the bottom, because I'll need it at the bottom, and my smaller pieces at the top, and kind of angle them. I also am going to need three straight strips to be the stems coming down at the end, and I just have these left over from one of the other cards I did. I've done several like this because they're so pretty and they're easy and go together, but they have a really big impact. I have those. They're not quite long enough. Here's one. Okay, I guess we'll go with that. That will be the bottom. So I'm going to start at the top and glue the smallest petal down at the top. And then I'll pick some of the smaller leaves, put glue on the ends, and I'm just going to glue it down and lay it over the edge. It's peeking over the edge, and this flower will go over it in a minute, so you don't see that end. I'll go ahead and put another one on the other side, and this is just up to you. You can put one on each side, or just put one, just whatever you want to do. Sometimes, if I have some left over, I've been putting one or two sticking out like that. That looks good. And I'm just putting glue on the end and sliding it down like that, and then this one will go over that. And I'm putting glue on the bottom 3/4 of it, but not the very tip, because it may stand out a little bit. And I'll put some more leaves. Again, just glue it at the bottom and let it stick out a little. I'll show you. This one's straight, and I'll just kind of curve the ends some. If I change my mind, I can always come back and add whatever here later. And angle out this way a little bit. And put this long one behind it. It'll be behind it, but it'll be coming on that side, so I guess it's essentially for that one before it. And what I'm doing, if it's too long, I'll just kind of pinch it off. And you're not going to see that end, so it doesn't have to be pretty or cut well. And picking little pieces to go in there. And then on these bottom 3, I'm going to have this one come like this, and that one angle that way a little bit, and that one come up here. So I'm just kind of planning out to make sure they cover up the ones they're supposed to cover up. Go that way. This one will angle this way and down just a little bit from that. Sorry. And that one will go over there. But first I'm going to take these, and they don't have to be the same width. And I'm going to pick a point where I want them to all intersect, like that, and I'm going to put dot of glue there, and a dot of glue there, hold it together, so that they're all fairly even down here, not exactly even, and they all meet there. And then I'm going to put glue on the middle part and the top part. This is the top that's going to go under the flowers, so it doesn't matter if they're straight or anything. Just needs to look like they're stems. And I'm going to put it down towards the bottom, and this petal will go over it, or flower, like so. And you have your cluster, and I can go back and add some leaves in. These stand out a little more, so I can add the leaves later. These up here lay a little flatter, so I wanted to add the leaves as I went. And we're going to decide that this one wants to come over here like this. And may decide that this one wants to come over here and stick out like that. This one's really thick, so I'm going to trim it down a little. And you just want to make sure it doesn't hang off the side of your card. Zoom back out some. Let's add one back in here. And I'm going to put one more over here. That's kind of thick, so I'm just going to trim it up a little bit. Like that, and I would let that dry. Now, on a couple of the cards, I went ahead and tied a little bow around where they gathered. Actually, I didn't tie it around it. I just tied it in a knot and glued it over the part where they gathered. But I decided not to do that on these others. I think it looks fine without it. And then I'll look and make sure to see if I need any more leaves. I think that'll do it. Let me glue the sentiment on. These cards needed to be congratulations, and that's rather long, so I decided to put it at the bottom. Some of the other ones I've done that were thinking of you, I put it in the middle there. But congratulations, you could put it there, but it just didn't look right to there. It looked better down here to me. But if you're making it, it is your call. And I'm going to bring that over a little bit. Make sure I have it fairly straight. Like that. And then I'm going to put 3 little pearls over here just because this needed something to balance it. And I don't know where that pearl shot off to. Put some little bit of glue down for these. Large one, a medium one, baby wing. And I think it comes out really lovely, and the flowers are super easy to make. So I hope you try it out. Thanks. Bye.